Alright, this is lesson 8.6, solve rational equations. We are going to solve using cross multiplying and by finding the least common denominator. We've already found least common denominator, so this is just going to be more practice, and then we're going to solve, which means we're going to get like an x equals answer. So the first one is a solve and then check your solutions. So if I look at this, my number one step says to cross multiply. And we all know that we cross multiply like this. So I'm going to do 3 times x minus 7 is equal to 2 times 5x. And then I'm just going to solve for x. So I'm going to distribute here. So I have 3x minus 21 is equal to 10x. Then I can subtract 3x from both sides. So I get negative 21 is equal to positive 7, positive 7x. And I divide both sides by 7. So I get negative 3 is equal to x. Now, the only thing I need to do is make sure that I plug it in up here to make sure that it works. So I have 3 over 5 times negative 3 is equal to 2 over negative 3 minus 7. So this is 3 over negative 15 is equal to 2 over negative 10. This reduces down to 1 over negative 5, and this reduces down to 1 over negative 5. So yes, that works just fine. Now we're going to do it to the next one. Same exact concept. We're going to cross multiply. So I have 11x plus 8, because it's 1 times 11x plus 8, equals x times 2x plus 5. Now I'm going to distribute. So I have 11x plus 8 is equal to 2x squared plus 5x. Then I need to combine like terms and get everything on one side. So I can subtract 11x from both sides. So I have 8 is equal to 2x squared minus 6x. And then I subtract 8 from both sides. So I get 0 is equal to 2x squared minus 6x minus 8. Okay, now I can factor this. And I can do factoring of one of two ways. I can pull out my 2 first. So I can say 0 is equal to 2 times x squared minus 3x minus 4. And then factor this. Or I could have just left it like this and done AC method. Now, this is much easier because now I can say what two numbers multiply together to be negative 4 and add together to be negative 3. So I have negative 4 and positive 1. So I have 2 times x plus 3, x minus 4, and x plus 1, like this. So now I just set everything equal to 0. So I have x minus 4 is equal to 0, and I have x plus 1 is equal to 0. So I have x equals positive 4 and x equals negative 1. And then I would go back and plug it into my original equation to make sure they work. And you can do that on your own. Now, the next one, same thing. We're going to cross multiply, just like we have on every single one of these, because there's an equal sign with 2 ratios. So I have 3 times 4x plus 5 is equal to 9 times x plus 1. Distribute both sides. So I have 12x plus 15 is equal to, distribute here, 9x plus 9. Now I subtract 9x, so I get 3x plus 15 is equal to 9. And then I can subtract 15, so I get 3x is equal to, what's 9 minus 15? We have negative 6. and then I divide both sides by 3, so x is equal to negative 2. Now I plug this back up in here, so I have 3 over negative 2 plus 1 equals 9 times 4 times negative 2 plus 5. So I have 3, and negative 2 plus 1 is just 1, or negative 1. So I have negative 3 right here equals 9 over negative 8 plus 5, which is also negative 3. So this is negative 3 equals negative 3, and that would be correct. Now we're going to do some where we have to find a common denominator on this side before we can cross multiply. Now remember that my options are to 1, find a common denominator, and then 2, find the least common denominator. It doesn't have to necessarily be the least common denominator, but remember we find the least common because that is easier in the end. So in this case we have 5 and x, and these won't break down anymore. So I'm just going to multiply this side by 5 over 5 so that I get 5x over here. And I multiply this side by x over x so I get 5x over here. So now I have 5 times 15, which is 75. So I have 75 over 5x plus 4x over 5x is equal to 7 over x. Now, I can just add these together. So I have 75 plus 4x divided by 5x is equal to 7 over x. Now I can cross multiply like I did before. So I have x times 75 plus 4x equals 7 times 5x, because I did this diagonal. Distribute in my x, so I have 75x plus 4x squared is equal to 35x. So now I need to get my x's together, so I can subtract 35x from both sides. So I end up with 40x plus 4x squared is equal to 0. Now, what I can do, let's slide this down. Now what I can do is I can take out a 4 and an x. So I'm going to take 4x out, so I'm left with 10 right here plus x right here is equal to 0. So I have 4x is equal to 0, and then I also have x plus 10 is equal to 0. So x is equal to negative 10, and x is equal to 0. Now if I go up here and I put 0 in for x, I have a 0 in my denominator, which isn't even allowed. So I know for sure that this is not a solution, and this is a solution. And we're done. Now we do the same thing for the next one. We have to find a common denominator, and since neither of these break down, again, I'm just going to make my common denominator 2 times x plus 1, or x minus 1. And I have plus 2 times x minus 1, like this. And what's missing from here is an x minus 1, so I have 3 times x minus 1 on top. And what's missing from this one is a 2, so I have 2 times 4 on the top here, is equal to x plus 1 over x minus 1. Now I can add these together, so I have 3 times x minus 1 plus 2 times 4 is 8, divided by 2 times x minus 1 is equal to, again, x plus 1 over x minus 1. And now if I keep going, I can distribute this here. So now I have 3x minus 3 plus 8 over 2, and I'm going to go ahead and distribute this too, just so that it's easier later. So I have 2x minus 2. You didn't have to distribute then, you could have waited till later, but I just decided to do it. So I have x plus 1 over x minus 1. Now I need to combine my like terms. Man, this problem keeps getting in the way. Move it way down. Okay. So now I can combine like terms. So I have 3x plus 5 over 2x minus 2 equals x plus 1 over x minus 1. Now I can cross multiply here and here. But if you notice, I have 2x minus 2 and x minus 1. If I multiply this side by 2 over 2, now I'm going to have common denominators here. So I have 3x plus 5 over 2x minus 2 equals 2x plus 2 over 2x minus 2. And since I have these common denominators here, I know that my tops have to equal. So I can just cross these out. And then I have 3x plus 5 is equal to 2x plus 2. And this problem is way easier than cross multiplying. You very well can cross multiply and then it will reduce down. But if you notice that you can get your denominators on either side of the equal sign to be equal, then your life might be a little bit easier. So now I have minus 2x from both sides, so I have x plus 5 is equal to 2. Then I minus 5, so I get x equals negative 3. And then I take my negative 3 and I just plug it in up here. So I have 3 halves plus 4 over, what was it, negative 3 minus 1, so negative 4 equals negative 3 plus 1 over negative 3 minus 1. So I have 3 halves plus negative 1 is equal to negative 2 over negative 4. And this goes to 1/2 because 3 halves minus 1 is 1/2 equals negative over negative is positive, so this is also 1/2, which means that it worked. All right, that's the end of the video. I do want you to do this problem before you come to class tomorrow. Please do the problem, and I will see you tomorrow.